The Council's decision. For 3,000 years, the Galactic Council had ruled the stars. It was the most powerful force in the galaxy, controlling trade, politics, and military alliances. Every species obeyed its laws, and wars between civilizations had been almost forgotten. The Council took pride in maintaining peace, but now, that peace was about to end. In the Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council, representatives from 100 alien races had gathered. The room was filled with tension. The walls, made of shimmering blue metal, reflected the nervous faces of those inside. At the center stood High Chancellor Vorex, a tall, insect-like being with dark, piercing eyes. His voice echoed through the chamber. "We can no longer ignore the humans," he said. "They are too strong, too unpredictable. If we wait any longer, they will become unstoppable." A murmur spread through the room. Some nodded in agreement, while others looked uncertain. Ambassador Kelvon of the Zorath Empire, a reptilian species, leaned forward. "But humanity has followed all of our laws. They trade fairly, they respect our borders. Why should we provoke them?" Vorex narrowed his eyes. "Because they are different. They are not like us. Their technology advances too quickly, their soldiers are too powerful, and their minds are too dangerous. We must act before it is too late." Another voice spoke up. It was Grand Admiral Xyphor, leader of the Council's military forces. "I have studied human history. They are warriors at heart. Every time they are threatened, they come back stronger. We must strike first while we have the advantage." Kelvon shook his head. "You assume they will not fight back. But what if they do? If we start this war, can we truly defeat them?" Vorex smirked. "We are the Council. We control the largest fleet in the galaxy. They may be strong, but they are outnumbered. We will crush them before they have a chance to resist." A silence fell over the chamber. Some members of the Council looked uneasy. Humanity had never broken a treaty, never attacked another race without reason. And yet, fear had taken root in the hearts of the most powerful leaders in the galaxy. After a long pause, Vorex raised his hand. "Let us vote. Should we take action against the humans?" One by one, the members of the Council cast their votes. The results appear on a holographic screen above them. Decision passed, 62% in favor of military action against humanity. Kelvon closed his eyes, feeling a deep sense of regret. The Council had just made the worst mistake in its history. Meanwhile, far away on Earth, humanity had no idea what was coming. But they would soon learn. And when they did, the galaxy would never be the same again. The first wave of alien ships cut through the darkness of space, their sleek forms gliding silently toward Earth. The Galactic Council, confident in their superior fleets, believed humanity would buckle under the weight of their threat. The Council had declared an ultimatum: surrender or face total destruction. They were certain that Earth, bound by treaties and the weight of centuries of peace, would simply comply. But they were gravely mistaken. On Earth, the President and top military officials gathered in a secure underground bunker. News of the Council's decision had come as a shock, but they quickly understood the gravity of the situation. A war that had been avoided for over 3,000 years was now inevitable. The world's leaders began to strategize. While the Council expected humanity to cower, Earth's resolve was something they had never fully understood. Humanity's strength had always been underestimated, especially by those who had never truly faced them in battle. They had been isolated, keeping to themselves for centuries, focused on building their world, growing their technology, and perfecting their strategies. The Council thought of them as a primitive species, but Earth had been preparing for this moment for a long time, even if they hadn't known it would come so soon. On the surface, humanity did what they did best: adapted and prepared. Within hours of the alien threat, military forces were mobilized across the globe. Advanced weaponry, hidden in secret underground bases, was activated. But it was not just the weapons that would prove humanity's strength. It was the sheer willpower and determination of every human who would stand and fight. As the alien fleet neared Earth's orbit, the Council began their final preparations. Their ships, massive and intimidating, were ready to destroy entire cities with the push of a button. Their strategy was simple: intimidate and annihilate. They were sure that humanity would crumble. But the Council had not counted on the one thing that had always made humans different: their refusal to back down when they were threatened. "This is the moment we've been waiting for," General Sarah Thompson said, her voice calm but firm. She stood in a command room, overlooking a massive holographic map of Earth's defenses. "We've trained for this. We've studied their tactics. Now we'll show them that we're not to be underestimated." General Thompson had seen the reports. The alien ships were impressive, advanced, powerful, and massive. But Earth's military wasn't just relying on technology. They were relying on something far more dangerous: human ingenuity and relentless determination. As the first alien ships entered Earth's atmosphere, the skies above major cities crackled with tension. In the quiet of space, an alien fleet approached Earth's defense line. But the humans were already waiting. The countdown had begun. "Brace for impact," came the order over comms. "Launch on my mark." Across the world, soldiers prepared their weapons. Fighter jets, equipped with advanced weaponry, soared into the air. Space defense platforms were activated. For the first time in history, the Earth was not just defending itself. It was about to launch the fight to the aliens. The first strike came swiftly. A group of alien warships began their bombardment of Earth's defense satellites, turning them into burning fragments. But humanity was ready. Hidden in the depths of Earth's orbit, a fleet of stealth ships, once thought to be obsolete, suddenly appeared from their cloaking devices. They fired on the alien vessels with precision, catching the invaders off guard. "They got us," an alien officer screamed into his comms as their ship was struck. The humans had chosen their first target well. The alien fleet, so confident in its superiority, was now under attack. The first wave had failed, and Earth had just sent its message: "We will not surrender." On the ground, panic and chaos spread across the world as cities prepared for the invasion. But even as fear gripped some, there were many who stood tall, ready to protect their homes. Every corner of Earth had rallied to the cause, uniting against a common enemy. There was no retreat. There was only the fight. "The Council thinks we are weak, but they have no idea what humanity is capable of," whispered Major Jonas Drake, one of the military leaders coordinating the global defense efforts. "We will show them that their arrogance will be their undoing." The alien ships continued their assault, but humanity's resolve only grew stronger. Earth's forces were not just defending. They were pushing back. Every strike, every counterattack, sent a clear message to the Galactic Council: humanity was not to be trifled with. The alien fleet had underestimated their enemy. And as the battle raged, it became clear that the Council's plan to crush humanity in a single blow had failed. Hook. The first wave of destruction had only just begun, but the aliens were already beginning to realize something they had not expected. Humans were not just fighting for survival. They were fighting to protect everything they had ever built. The battle for Earth was far from over, and the consequences for the Galactic Council would be far more than they had bargained for. The battle raged on, illuminating the night sky with streaks of fire and explosions. The Galactic Council's warships, once thought invincible, were now struggling against the human resistance. The initial plan had been simple: overwhelm humanity with superior firepower and technology. But the Council had made a terrible mistake. They had underestimated the sheer tenacity of the human spirit. Commander Axel Varn of the Galactic Council's fleet watched in disbelief from the bridge of his flagship. His forces had expected Earth's defenses to crumble within minutes. Instead, they were losing ships at an alarming rate. His eyes flickered over the holographic display. Red markers, representing destroyed Council vessels, were increasing rapidly. "How is this possible?" Selvarn muttered. "They were supposed to be primitive." A junior officer, his scales shifting nervously, hesitated before speaking. "Commander, the humans, They fight like nothing we have ever seen. They do not retreat. They do not surrender. They adapt. Every time we counter their tactics, they shift strategies as if they knew we would. Zelvarn clenched his fists. It made no sense. The Council had fought wars for thousands of years. They had crushed entire species, wiping civilizations from existence. No one had ever resisted them like this. Yet here were the humans, standing against an empire that had ruled the galaxy for millennia. Meanwhile, on Earth, General Sarah Thompson watched from an underground command center as the enemy fleet struggled. She had studied the Council's war strategies for years, knowing that one day Earth might need to defend itself. Now, all that knowledge was being put to use. "They rely too much on their superiority," she said, addressing her officers. "They expected us to panic. They thought we would crumble under the first wave. Instead, we've turned their own arrogance against them." Her words rang true. Earth's military had executed a series of perfectly coordinated counterattacks. Hidden defense platforms, buried beneath Earth's surface, had unleashed devastating railgun strikes on the enemy ships. Electronic warfare teams had hacked into the Council's communication systems, jamming their signals and sowing chaos among their ranks. Even Earth's fighter pilots, flying in outdated but highly maneuverable crafts, had managed to outmatch the enemy's rigid formations. The Council's forces were now on the defensive. But then, a new threat emerged. A massive warship, the Devourer, entered the battle zone. The Council had kept it in reserve, certain that it would not be needed. It was a behemoth, a dreadnought-class vessel with the firepower to annihilate an entire continent in a single strike. The moment it arrived, the balance of power shifted once more. "Sir, the enemy just deployed a superweapon," a technician shouted in the human command center. "That thing is big enough to wipe out an entire city." On board the Devourer, Zelvarn straightened his posture. His confidence returned. "Enough games," he growled. "Target Earth's capital cities. Let them watch as we burn their world." The dreadnought's main cannon hummed with energy, its deadly charge building up. The humans had fought well, but this was the end. Or so the Council believed, because humanity still had one final trick up its sleeve. Hook. The Galactic Council thought they had Earth cornered, but deep beneath the planet's surface, hidden from prying eyes, an ancient secret was waiting. Something humanity had kept in reserve for this very moment. And when it was unleashed, the entire galaxy would tremble. Zelvarn stood at the command deck of the Devourer, a cruel smile curling across his face. The battle had been far more costly than expected, but now it was finally over. Humanity had fought well, too well, but against the sheer might of the Galactic Council's ultimate warship, they were nothing. "Target Earth's capital cities," he ordered, his voice cold. "Let them witness their end." The massive dreadnought rumbled as its main cannon powered up. The weapon had been designed to end wars with a single shot, capable of vaporizing entire continents. Around the battlefield, smaller Council ships pulled back, not wanting to be caught in the blast radius. It was a declaration of ultimate power, a message to the entire galaxy. Humanity had challenged the Council and lost. On Earth, alarms blared throughout underground command bunkers. The Devourer was preparing to fire. General Sarah Thompson felt a tightness in her chest, but she didn't let it show. Her team looked to her for guidance. If she faltered, panic would spread. A young officer turned to her, panic in his voice. "General, that blast will take out half the planet. Our weapons can't stop it." Sarah remained calm. "We always knew this day might come." She turned to an older man in the corner, his uniform different from the others. Unlike the rest of the military officers, he wore no insignia, no badge of rank. "Is it ready?" she asked. The man nodded. "It's been ready for centuries." Deep beneath Earth's surface, in a hidden facility known only to a handful of humans, a secret that had been buried for generations came to life. Massive engines, dormant for thousands of years, roared to life. Metal groaned as enormous hangar doors, hidden beneath the oceans, slowly opened. Across the solar system, hidden stations and defense platforms, long thought to be abandoned relics, powered up. The Council had assumed that humanity was weak. They had believed Earth's defenses were nothing more than what they could see. They were wrong. As the Devourer's cannon reached full charge, a deep tremor rippled across the battlefield. At first, the Council officers dismissed it as a glitch. But then, massive signatures appeared on their sensors. Ships. Hundreds of them. No, thousands. From hidden bases in deep space, from underground silos, and from ancient orbital platforms, a long-forgotten fleet emerged. These were not the crude, outdated vessels the Council had expected. These were warships of unknown design, sleek and massive, bristling with weapons never before seen. And at the center of it all, rising from the depths of Earth's atmosphere, was something truly terrifying. A colossal supercarrier, larger than the Devourer itself, ascended into the sky. Its hull was black as the void, its surface pulsing with energy. The ship bore no markings, no insignia. It had been built for one purpose: to defend humanity at any cost. The Council's commanders stared at their monitors in shock. What is that?" Xelvarn whispered, his confidence draining. A new voice crackled through the battlefield's communications network. A deep, commanding voice filled with calm fury. "This is Admiral Kane of the UNSF Dreadnought Erebus. You have 5 seconds to stand down, or be erased from existence." The Galactic Council had come to crush humanity. Now, they realized the truth. They were the ones who had walked into a trap. Hook. The Council had believed humanity was weak. They had believed Earth was defenseless. Now, as ancient warships and unstoppable weapons emerged from the darkness, they faced a terrifying reality. Humanity had been preparing for this war for centuries, and they were ready. The Galactic Council's fleet, once so confident in its overwhelming power, was now frozen in stunned silence. Sensors screamed warnings. The sheer number of human warships appearing from hidden locations across the system defied all logic. "Impossible," Xelvarn whispered, his claws tightening on the command chair. Where did they come from? His officers frantically scanned their data. These ships had not existed in any known database. No intelligence report had ever mentioned them. Yet here they were, massive, heavily armed, and with energy signatures unlike anything seen before. The Erebus, Earth's hidden super-dreadnought, loomed like a shadow of death over the battlefield. Its hull, blacker than deep space, pulsed with eerie blue lights. Around it, Earth's fleet formed up, each ship moving with military precision, as if they had drilled this moment for centuries. And in truth, they had. Across the human fleet, weapons powered up. These were no ordinary weapons. They didn't match any known energy profiles. Council engineers had spent millennia perfecting plasma, railguns, and antimatter weaponry. But what the humans had, it was something else entirely. Xelvarn's second-in-command, a reptilian officer named Ralzek, spoke in a voice barely above a whisper. "Sir, we're detecting gravitational distortions near their ships. Some sort of localized singularities." Xelvarn's eyes widened. Black hole weaponry. That's a myth. But the readings didn't lie. Humanity had never been behind in technology. They had simply been hiding it. Across the battlefield, the first human ships opened fire. But instead of the expected bright plasma or glowing laser beams, the void itself seemed to bend around their weapons. Entire Council ships were torn apart as if consumed by invisible forces. Then came the Erebus. The colossal dreadnought's forward cannon hummed ominously. A deep vibration rippled across space, as if reality itself was bracing for impact. Then, in a single moment, it fired. A silent black wave erupted from its core. Not a beam, not an explosion, but the total absence of light. The nearest Council battleship, one of the largest ever built, simply ceased to exist. One moment, it was there. The next, only twisted fragments drifted in its place. No fire, no explosion, just erasure. Panic erupted in the Council fleet. Captains shouted contradictory orders. Some ordered immediate retreat. Others demanded full counterattacks. But nothing worked. Council ships fired wildly, their most advanced weapons barely scratching the human fleet's shields. Return fire from Earth's forces ripped through entire formations, leaving burning wreckage in their wake. On the Devourer, alarms wailed. Reports flooded in. 30 Council ships lost in the first 90 seconds. Zelvarn's scales tingled with a sensation he had never known before. Fear. He had thought humanity was just another species to be put in their place. He had never expected this. A transmission cut through the chaos. Admiral Kane's voice, calm, controlled, and filled with cold certainty. "Your time is up." Zelvarn clenched his jaw. He had underestimated humanity. And now he was about to pay the price. Zelvarn's breathing was ragged, his claws gripping the armrests of his command chair so tightly that they left deep grooves in the metal. The bridge of the Devourer was in chaos. Alarms blared, officers shouted over one another, and panic filled the air like a thick, suffocating fog. Shields down to 23%. One of his officers screamed. "We've lost communication with 3 battle groups," another added. Zelvarn's eyes darted to the battlefield. It wasn't a battle anymore. It was a massacre. The Galactic Council's once proud fleet, the largest assembled in centuries, was now little more than burning debris. Entire formations had been wiped out in mere moments. Some ships had been reduced to twisted, lifeless husks, their crews turned to cosmic dust. Others, in sheer desperation, had activated their warp drives and fled, abandoning their comrades to their fate. Humanity's ships moved with terrifying precision. They didn't fight like the Council's forces, who relied on overwhelming numbers and brute force. No, the humans fought as if they already knew the outcome, as if they had predicted every move before it even happened. Admiral Kane's voice came through the comms once more, cutting through the chaos like a blade. "This is your final warning, Zelvarn. Surrender now, or you won't get another chance." Zelvarn's scales burned with shame. He, a high-ranking commander of the Galactic Council, was being given an ultimatum by humans. It was unthinkable. But what choice did he have? His second-in-command, Ralzek, turned to him, his reptilian eyes filled with desperation. "Sir, we need to retreat. Now." Zelvarn's pride screamed at him to fight, to stand his ground, to salvage what little remained of his fleet and strike back. But the cold reality was undeniable. They had lost. Another tremor shook the Devourer as a human dreadnought unleashed another devastating volley. Entire sections of the ship flickered with failing power. The command deck dimmed for a moment before emergency lights took over. Zelvarn clenched his fists. "All remaining ships, retreat immediately. Get to the nearest jump points and get out of here." The order was met with hurried confirmations. Engines flared to life as the battered remnants of the Council fleet attempted to break away. But the humans weren't going to let them go so easily. The Erebus, Earth's monstrous super-dreadnought, turned its massive guns toward the retreating ships. A single shot from its terrifying black cannon fired. Another void ripple that consumed an entire battleship in an instant. Zelvarn's heart pounded. The humans could destroy them all right now. They had the power. So why weren't they finishing the job? Then he realized a horrifying truth. They were letting him live. Not out of mercy, not out of kindness, but to send a message. Run. Tell the Council what you saw. Warn them. And if they ever return, the destruction will be total. Zelvarn's jaw tightened as his ship finally entered the jump window. The last thing he saw before slipping into warp was the Erebus, standing like a silent executioner, waiting for its next victim. He had come to teach humanity a lesson. Instead, he had learned one himself. Zelvarn stepped onto the cold, polished floor of the Galactic Council's Grand Hall, his every step echoing in the massive chamber. The circular room, filled with towering representatives of every major species in the galaxy, had never been this quiet before. The usual arrogant chatter, the political maneuvering, the endless debates, all of it was gone. Every eye in the chamber was locked onto them. The once mighty commander of the Council's fleet had returned home in disgrace. His golden uniform, once a symbol of pride and authority, was torn and burned. His reptilian features, usually hardened with confidence, were now filled with something unfamiliar: fear. At the center of the chamber sat Supreme Chancellor Varlozek, an ancient being who had ruled the Council for over 1,000 years. His 8 crimson eyes glowed in the dim light, scanning Selvarn with an unreadable expression. Report. His voice was like grinding stone, deep and filled with authority. Selvarn took a deep breath. He knew what they wanted to hear. They wanted lies. They wanted an excuse. They wanted him to claim that the battle was lost due to an unfortunate accident, or an unseen anomaly, or a rare miscalculation. But there was no lie big enough to cover what had happened. We lost. His voice came out hoarse, almost a whisper. Utterly. The chamber remained silent. Selvarn clenched his fists. Humanity is not what we thought. They are not weak. They are not primitive. They are something else entirely. His voice trembled as he continued. They destroyed our fleets like they were nothing. They fought as if they knew every move before we made it. And their weapons. He shuddered at the memory of the Erebus and its horrifying void cannon. The silence was finally broken by a scoff. One of the council members, a towering insectoid named Zevalar, clicked his mandibles. You expect us to believe that the great Galactic Council was defeated by a species of flesh and bone. You ran from a fight, Commander. Selvarn's eyes flashed with anger. I survived. That's more than I can say for the millions who didn't. Another member, a feline-like being, growled. Then why are you still alive? If they were so powerful, why did they let you go? Selvarn's jaw tightened, because they wanted us to know. He took a step forward, scanning the room. They wanted us to understand that they could have wiped us out, but they didn't. They let us live to send a message. Chancellor Varlozek's gaze darkened. And what message is that, Commander? Selvarn swallowed hard before speaking. Do not test them again. A murmur spread through the chamber. Some looked skeptical, others angry. But some, the ones who understood true war, looked terrified. Chancellor Varlozek remained silent for a long time before finally speaking. And what do you suggest we do? Selvarn exhaled slowly. We have 2 choices. His voice was steady now. We can leave Earth alone, accept that they are now a force beyond our control, and hope they have no interest in conquest. His eyes darkened. Or we can fight again. And this time, they won't just destroy our fleet. He met the Chancellor's gaze. They will burn our worlds, one by one. The silence that followed was deafening. For the first time in its long history, the Galactic Council truly understood fear. The decision was clear. War was no longer an option. Humanity had spoken, and the galaxy would never be the same again.